largest ever largest ever Coast Guard drug offload, 76,000 pounds held at the Port Everglades. They say it's like something close to $500 million. Somebody about to get knocked off. Let's get into it, y'all.
A record amount of cocaine is now off the high seas this afternoon. $473 million worth we're talking here. The U.S. Coast Guard joined other federal agencies in hauling pallets.
You could see here from overhead from Chopper 6, we could see the span of this big bus. This is at Port Everglades, and that was this morning. NBC 6's Julia Bagg takes us aboard the Coast Guard cutter Hamilton to tell us more.
This is a historic moment for the U.S. Coast Guard when it comes to offloading illicit drugs. Pallet by pallet, members of the U.S. Coast Guard unloaded packages of cocaine and marijuana with the help of a crane.
Today, we are witness to the largest drug offload in Coast Guard history. A total of 76,140 pounds of illegal narcotics. These men and women put themselves in harm's way time and again to stop the bad guys, apprehend the smugglers, and seize the drugs. This is grueling and dangerous work, and I am extremely proud of them.
The seizures include more than 61,000 pounds of cocaine and more than 15,000 pounds of marijuana, captured from the Eastern Pacific to the Caribbean, all in roughly the last 2 months.
Knowing that we're part of a team keeping the United States safe, keeping these drugs out of people's hands, stopping these organizations from moving them across our borders, you know, it is worth it.
Federal agents say the drugs often come from foreign terrorist organizations. These wrapped bundles will now be used in prosecution cases.
So, Chase the Alpha, you are 100% correct. And so this is going to cause a ripple effect. All right. I think it's the fact that the Maduros, that he got a 50 million bounty on his head, so they not letting drugs get through. Because come on, listen, let's be very, very clear. Let's be very, very clear. In order for these American gangsters should have taught y'all this. In order for these type of drugs to be getting through, right? Because a lot of it is hidden for the sake of hiding, but a lot of it is not so hidden for the sake of the fact that most of the people that know what's coming in know what's coming in. You can't have drugs coming in on a pallet. Nobody is going to see $500 million worth of cocaine and marijuana being shipped along the Coast Guard when they don't have safeguards in place, including so many different agencies and people that are being paid off in order to look the other way. Because let's be clear, if $500 million, 76,000 pounds is being shipped at one time across the water, it's a lot of people that's involved in that. It's a lot of people that's involved in that. And so let's be clear. Somebody pissed off somebody, and so it went left after that. And now this is what you see happening. And so what happens is, if it's on a pallet, that's not so secret. That's very much in your face. Matter of fact, a whole lot of people was involved. And I believe in a lot of instances, this goes up to the highest of the highest levels. 100% it goes up to the highest of the highest levels. When you see all of Miami, when you go down, when y'all fly down to Miami, I want y'all to understand something. Miami was built off of cocaine. Miami is not a great city planner, bunch of money. When you see people that be having these big yachts and all of this different stuff that's happening, that stuff is already in place, and that stuff is very much a part of not no underground drug lords. That junk is all laundering and money coming in, and you make a lot of money. So can we use you in order to launder some of this money? You get a huge cut of it. And so all you got to do is sit back and make sure that you report on your taxes accordingly and keep your books up to date. That's the truth. All right. When you got money, illicit money comes in, and that's why it's a much more diabolical to be involved and then connected with certain people, because you then get into this whole situation. Now, what you then see on top of that is that it's going to have a trickle effect, right? And so now that people overseas is not doing what they supposed to do, they ain't paying a portion, they ain't cutting the check the way they supposed to do, tariffs. Now Maduro got a $50 million bounty on his head, right? What you're going to see is back here in the States, when you start seeing people doing this, your stuff is weak, bro. It's a drought. What happens when there's a drought? Prices go up. The price of the brick go up because it's much more harder to get stuff in here because whoever it is that got the connects, right? Whoever, what was my man's name is when Marlo took over the connect and he killed him? Proposition Joe. Proposition Joe, he not dealing with the Greeks no more. The Greeks want to go over with Marlo. Marlo got arrested. Somebody ain't paying their fair share. And now everything is going to go down. The price of the brick goes up, right? They start stepping on it a little bit more because they got to make it stretch. And they can't continue to run that into them towers because that good stuff ain't what it is. And so the cost is going to go up. What happened when the cost going to go up? That means that it's going to be war. People going to have to start trying to hold their territory down. The soldiers ain't getting paid the way that they supposed to. The streets is now going to be in chaos. The streets is going to be in chaos because $500 million worth of work got seized off of these pallets and they in the Port of Everglades and people can't do nothing about it. Somewhere along the lines, somebody messed up. And so next thing you know, Trump is going to get the credit for stopping the flow of drugs into the United States of America because they're going to say that the ports and the Coast Guard is doing a better job because Trump is in office. If you don't think that I believe that Biden and Clinton and Obama and what's his name, Bush's, both 1 and 2, and all of them was able to stop this if they really wanted to, you a fool. If you don't think that all of these people that was in power and I ain't even just talking about them, I'm talking about all of the Congress members. I'm talking about people that work in the military. I'm talking about people that work on the Coast Guard. I'm talking about the Navy. I'm talking about international conciliaires. All of these people, if you think that they are involved in public service and that they living in these massive homes, if you think that they are not absolutely positively benefiting from all of the things that's happening in the federal government, then you are a fool.
The 61,740 pounds of cocaine represent 23 million potentially lethal doses. That's enough to fatally overdose the entire population of the state of Florida.
Once the offloading is finished, this crew and vessel will head home to South Carolina. At Port Everglades, Julia Bagg, NBC6 News.
Let me go over and pivot over to another report and see what they're talking about, if they got anything else different to say.
The Coast Guard offloading the largest haul of illegal drugs in its history. Local 10 Syra Onware is live with the stunning video of the bust on the high seas. Syra.
Nicole, it's always cool to be able to come out here to Port Everglades and give the Coast Guard the opportunity to show off their hard work. All of these interdictions, these drug seizures that they make to prevent these drugs from ever hitting our streets. Well, today was particularly remarkable just with the sheer amount of drugs they were able to seize. The Coast Guard sharing this video from summer interdictions that they say will lead to safer streets for South Floridians and potentially all Americans. It shows a Coast Guard crew in August interdicting a go-fast vessel suspected of drug smuggling approximately 40 miles southwest of Haiti. Sky 10 flying over Port Everglades Monday morning, where the Coast Guard cutter Hamilton made history.
We are surging additional cutters, aircraft, and tactical law enforcement teams to the eastern Pacific Ocean to hunt down, interdict, and board these suspected smugglers, all in support of Operation Pacific Viper.
It was a good day for the good guys, the U.S. Coast Guard marking an historic milestone.
A
Officials offloading more than 77,000 pounds of illegal narcotics at Port Everglades, the largest single drug offload in the Coast Guard's history. The massive haul seized earlier this summer by crews on board the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Hamilton. It includes more than 60 pounds of cocaine and nearly 16,000 pounds of marijuana.
Many of the interdicted vessels we are talking about left Venezuela.
Altogether, the Coast Guard reports the contraband is worth more than $473 million on the street. The Coast Guard reports the vessels are from organized crime gangs in Latin America like Tren de Aragua and Cartel de Solas.
These drugs fuel and enable cartels and transnational criminal organizations, the very same groups that are pushing fentanyl and other deadly substances to our communities.
So a good question is what happens to all of those drugs now? They are transported from here at the port to the hands of the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, of course, with a lot of security and a lot of surveillance.
It's got to be heads to roll for that. Somebody got to suffer. Somebody got to take an L. I don't know who got to suffer and who got to take an L. I'm pretty sure that none of us will ever know. But if you ever get $500 million in cocaine and marijuana seized, then they definitely gonna be taking an L. I don't know who, but it's somebody that's gonna have to roll. Heads is gonna roll on that one, and somebody gotta die. It just is what it is. That's not a mistake. I don't believe any of that stuff is happenstance. Whenever something like this gets caught, somebody said the go fast was a deterrent in order to get to the submarine drone and stuff. Man, we got technology that can find anything. We can stop people that launch drone missiles, super aquatic, submarine, all kind of junk. Man, we got stuff that can detect anything, literally anything. There is nothing that the cartel or people that ship drugs over here into the United States of America can do. If we wanted to stop every single shipment coming across our borders, coming across our seas, all of that stuff, if we wanted to stop every single shipment of drugs and narcotics coming into this country, we probably could. We could completely shut down Mexico. Mexico, Venezuela, Cambodia, all of these people would just absolutely collapse. It would absolutely collapse. If all of these things just went haywire, it would 100% collapse. And so I don't believe that with the level of technology that we have, I remember Biden was sitting there going back and forth and he was like, we need these machines to sit there and stop all of the stuff that is coming in here in the United States of America. We need these detection machines that you scans the vehicle. Man, get the hell out of here, bro. We could literally stop anything we wanted to from coming in here if we wanted to truly stop it. Somebody didn't get paid. Somebody didn't make the play. Maybe they doing it as a warning over there again to Maduro or something. I don't know. But somebody is in trouble. So that's what's happening over there on the Coast Guard.